Okay, I am rolling on my Substack. Okay, we are rolling. Welcome to the Substack. I thought I would like to post video content eventually for subscribers, but right now it's just for everyone because there's not a lot of people on here. I think I just want to talk about a couple sports, things that piqued my interest, especially yesterday with baseball, the NBA season coming up because the first time an NBA guy through and through, and then at the end, for 5 minutes, I just want a little bit of your time to talk about darts because I'm getting into other sports and I needed somewhere to express those other sports. So bear with me. The first thing we're going to talk about is the Cleveland Guardians and why they aren't dead. For those of you who don't know, the Cleveland Guardians, who made the postseason last year, weren't looking very good. They were kind of middling throughout the year, and their closer and one of their starting pitchers got sent away from the team for gambling violations. They still haven't returned. They've taken their lockers outside of the whole arena. You thought their season was dead. Their closer, who won reliever of the year last year, with a .5 ERA, even though he did blow up in the playoffs, and one of their best pitchers were done for the season months ago. You would think they would be dead, but they're 18-5 in their last 23. I'm pretty sure. They're a game and a half out of the wild card, but that's not even the craziest thing. The Tigers, who had this division locked up for months, we kind of ignored the AL Central because it was just the Tigers, and the Twins are terrible. The White Sox are obviously terrible, and we just thought it was gonna keep going like that. But the Guardians are 2.5 back of their division with their win today. So it's just I don't know how the Guardians do it. Jose Ramirez is amazing. They still have 3 games left against the Tigers, so they still control their own destiny in a way, which is ridiculous to say. I don't know how the Tigers could lose this. It would just be so soul crushing if the Tigers didn't win this division, because we thought this would be the one division that was in July that was locked up. I would say you would look and say the Tigers lost today, but they pitched Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton's not how John Boy Media says, it's not a part of their winning formula. Charlie Morton has nothing to do with their playoff roster. He played bad, so they just punted the game. I think they went Morton to Rafael Montero to Chris Paddock to Paul Sewald, and then Zach McKinstry pitched. So, this was very much a punt game, but they keep punting games against the Braves, and the Braves should have been a good team. We respected the Braves. Everyone else respected the Braves before the season started. So the Tigers can't lose this division. It's getting too close. They have a 3-game series after they play the Twins, and Detroit has an off day before it. The Guardians don't. So at least hopefully, but the Tigers have been the one team in the past 5 weeks, I'm pretty sure, to have an off day every week. They've been able to set up their bullpen for a lot of series, and they haven't closed out the division. Then we can move on to the NBA. With the NBA season starting, I will be posting an article about every team 30 days into the season. That's also starting tomorrow, so I better get on that. Tomorrow you'll hear about the worst team in the league, the Wizards. You don't have to read it. It's harder to talk about these bottom tier teams because eventually their season might not matter. But they're generally, I have put the NBA into 3-ish tiers: the top 10, the middle 13, and the bottom 7. And the bottom 7, I have in no particular order: the Pels, Hornets, Jazz, Wizards, Nets. The Wizards are the worst. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Wizards are gonna be terrible. But I think I can group those into 3 different groups. I think the Pelicans and Hornets are teams that I think could be very good, higher upside with Zion and LaMelo. They just need to stay healthy. If somebody in the crystal ball or time travel came from that room and said Zion's going to play 72 games and LaMelo's going to play 72 games, both of those teams are going to make the playoffs. But if they miss time like they normally do in the middle of the season, I'm pretty sure the Hornets were 1-33 or like 2-32 without LaMelo. So that just they just can't survive without him, and they never do. I think the Pelicans have a chance to be better than the Hornets even without Zion, but I just don't believe in those two teams to stay healthy. And then I think about the Pacers. They're in their own category because the Pacers are kind of the Pacers are more of, they're not rebuilding. Obviously, they just made the finals, game 7 of the finals, and the Tyrese Halliburton injury is unfortunate. I think the Pacers fans are probably in a good place right now because you can take a step back from the season and just let Benedict Mathurin shoot. Let him take shots for Carlisle, please. Let him get a chance. Give that man a chance. He can hoop. Their bench guys, who is it? Let their young guys develop. Ben Shepherd. I forgot the big. I keep saying Jakar Sampson, the guy off the bench. I apologize for forgetting his name. But just get them. Let them get shots up. Let them keep the pace that they're running at, frenetic pace. They could be looking at a play-in spot, but they did trade for their first-round pick back right before Game 7 of the NBA Finals. So that was one trade that went completely under the radar. They can tank and mail it in for the season, and I expect them to. The Jazz, Wizards, and Hornets, though. Jazz, Nets, Hornets. Apologize. Those teams are just looking for another number one pick. They all got shafted in the draft lottery, except for the Jazz. I just think, especially with the Wizards and Nets, I don't think their first round pick or starting 5 of picks for the Nets are really enough unless they show me something I haven't seen. I think Trey Johnson isn't going to be too impactful of a piece until they're not contending or not competing for a playoff spot. Then they might let him start. I think Chris Middleton and CJ McConnell will be getting bought out. I think Chris Middleton and CJ McConnell will be getting bought out regardless of situation. They are both on expiring deals. It's very easy to see them on contending teams this year. The Nets, I just don't see anything. Michael Porter Jr. is a great piece, but Cam Thomas isn't re-signed, so you're not really taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, maybe. And then the Jazz are just so many pieces away. Is Lauri Markkanen? Can you just blindfold Lauri Markkanen and tell him it's Finland? That's your best hope. To hope he balls out. The team on paper looks fine, but do they have a starting guard on their team? I don't believe so. So that's my outlook on the bottom 7 teams of the NBA, and I'll go in more in depth this week. You'll see it all. Next, I'll talk about the Yankees. Just because I watch a lot of Yankees games. I'm a Yankees fan. I don't have the shirts to prove it. They're all back there. But the Yankees lost to the Orioles today. Last night. Tyler Rogers, 6 beautiful innings. Will Warren pitched into some trouble, but a great bounce back start in my opinion. I think it's his 5.13 earned, but it didn't feel like that. Just a better start by the opposing pitcher, and it was just a unfortunate loss because there's 10 games left in the season, and they're 3 games back from Toronto, but it feels like 4 because of the tiebreaker. So the ability to get a game and shrink it to 2 feels like 3. With 9 games left, might have had a chance. This might have been your last chance to gain substantial ground. And you might say that you didn't know if they were playing or not. The Kansas City Royals dropped 7 runs on Max Scherzer in the first inning. The Yankees saw that on the big board. They knew that. So this was a golden opportunity. They just couldn't string together some runs. 2 big errors. I don't really think, Yankees' bad defensive narrative is time for that. No, it was a tough play for Jazz, and Will Warren just booted a ball. I think Jazz shouldn't throw it, but I don't knock Jazz for trying to make a play. I don't think he would have gotten the runner anyways. I think it was Jordan Westberg. I think he runs too well. But I think they're in a great spot. I think even without being in the wild card, being in the winning the division, they're still a very good team, and they're in prime position versus not. They're playing their best ball, and it's more important that they play their best ball versus winning this division. And they match up well, believe it or not, with every other team in the MLB besides probably Toronto. In the AL, they have almost every team has an ace lefty, and this team is built to hit lefties. Even though you missed against Tyler Rogers, it didn't look like it. We have so many platoon at bats. Austin Slater, Ahmed Rosario feels like he always gets a hit against lefties. Stanton, Judge, Paul Goldschmidt hits .350 against lefties. Cody Bellinger is the best lefty-on-lefty hitter against lefties. Yeah, but I think they're in a great spot because you're going to face in a playoff run possibly a Crochet, possibly a Framber, possibly a Tarek Skubal. If the playoffs started today, I'm pretty sure they go to Houston to play Houston comes to us to play a 3-game set. What's the first game of that series? Fried versus Framber. So you'll probably see Rosario, you'll see Slater, you'll see Goldschmidt with a superstar bench, in my opinion, because you would have 30 homers off the bench in Trent Grisham, hopefully. And then you'd have 25 homers in Ben Rice off the bench to platoon. And I think then their next series would be going to Detroit, Tarek Skubal. And I think having seen lefty mashers against Skubal and being able to platoon your lefties after Tarek Skubal gets through 7 or gets through 6 and having crucial at-bats with a pinch-hitting Ben Rice, which he's practiced, which Trent Grisham has practiced. He's come in as a pinch hitter. They've done it all season, and they're so much better doing it now versus last year. So now that we're done with that, I would love to talk about darts. Bear with me. Short segment. I'm not going to take more than 2 minutes of your time. When I look at the world premiere and the national rankings, or the world rankings, I see Luke Humphrys always on the top. And my thought is, as a casual viewer, if I had to sit someone next to me, and imagine if I had to sit someone next to me to watch the NBA Finals, and they were watching the 2011 NBA Finals, and I told you that this person who's 6'9" and 250 and runs like a gazelle is the best player in the league. This is LeBron. He's the best player in the league, and you've never watched a game of basketball in your life, and you watch the 2011 Finals, you don't think he's very good. You don't think LeBron is very good because a 5'11" JJ Barea standing in front of him looks very passive. So that's what I kind of compare to Luke Humphrys. I think he comes up short in way too many moments in my head. I think about world match play. I think about the world championships last year. Just too many big moments. And I imagine if I see LeBron or Mahomes, or tell me you watch Josh Allen all season and then you only show people, you only have an NFL fan watch the playoff games of Josh Allen, they're not going to think he's very good. They're not going to think he can come through in the biggest moments. You're not going to understand why the broadcast talks about him so much, because if you watch 4 years of him losing to the same guy over and over again, you just wouldn't think he's very good. Or you'd think Patrick Mahomes is the greatest of all time, but I think Luke Humphries comes up short in too many moments, too often. He's very much deserving of the world number 1, but I think we're going to have uncomfortable conversations about that 18-year-old who keeps winning, who just keeps winning on the Pro Tour. Only other thing I saw was, how about James Wade? James Wade, an old soul, just keeps finding a way. I haven't been watching a lot of Premier League things, but I watched the World Match Play very intensely when I was moving, when I was cooking, and James Wade he looked sharp in World Match Play. And if he can keep that form, and shout out Michael Van Gerwen, clock that T. If anyone needs to find a comparison to James Wade and Michael Van Gerwen, I would think about late stages Tim Duncan. Very, very calculated, very, very good. Knew what he was doing, and just found a way. Maybe a little sharper and maybe more athletic than Tim Duncan, but just really finds a way and has had a really nice resurgence to his career, and I really enjoy that. I definitely like enjoying people who the broadcast respects so much, and they nonstop talk about how good they once were, and and he's actively showing me how good he is right now. Doesn't matter how good he once was. Hold this 170. He didn't have a big fish, but it was just massive checkouts, just really sharp at the start, and then holding his throw. Didn't need any big comebacks. Eventually got clipped in the World Match Play, but I was really impressed, and that's why he's world number 5 right now. Thanks for watching. I thought this one was going to be rather short. I didn't really have a lot of ideas or a lot of things to talk about, and I wanted to get this out and see how this feels and just click post without having to think about it. Hope y'all enjoy, and I'll talk to y'all soon.